All of the films I'm most proud of that I've made have started from a poem. Most people write a script, and for me, I kind of just write a poem. Even though what I wrote, I didn't actually end up putting in the film, it's kind of just for me to understand the emotion behind the film. Because I don't just like putting out facts, I like to explore the issue in a way that will make people more empathize with it and understand it from a more human perspective. With one of my first poems, there were so many images that I spoke about in that poem, and I decided why not just make a film about this, and that's really what sparked my whole journey with filmmaking. I was inspired to make Dear America after the shooting of Michael Brown, and I was really, like a lot of people, very frustrated and had a lot of emotions, and so I decided to write a poem about it.
And we act as though the world is drenched in liberty because we stand here in the 21st century. Well, it may be a new number, but it's not a new thing. Emmett Till, 1955, Michael Brown, 2014. And we're still watching black and white TV because they choose not to broadcast the redness of your police brutality.
After I wrote that, I felt like I really wanted to make it into a film. And after I shot the film, I went through a huge mental block when it was time to edit it because there was something that I was holding back. I pressed record on my computer and I just started talking, and I spoke about how it had been so hard for me to accept my identity as a black woman, how I had felt for so long like I had to be something else, how I had to be lighter, I had to be less black, I had to, have less full lips, and I wanted to be like this picture that society tells you that you should be. And for so long I had sort of kept that hidden, and I hadn't really spoken about it with anyone, and I finally shared that.
I can't explain what it feels like to just hate every inch of yourself. I thought that there was just something bad about being black. I used to ask my dad if I could get plastic surgery and look like Michael Jackson, and I remember thinking about cutting all of my skin off in hopes that the skin that would grow would be pale skin.
So many people can relate to feeling labeled and to feeling stereotyped, and so many people feel oppressed by some part of their identity, whether it's their race or their sexuality or a disability or whichever. We all know what it's like to be judged for the things that make us unique. Last year, I was chosen as one of 7 filmmakers in the country to be a National Young Arts winner in cinematic arts. And through that, I was also nominated to be a presidential scholar. And it's like the highest honor for artists in the country, so that was a very surreal experience for me. Because of Young Arts, I got to go to Miami, and I got to show my film there and create a short film with the 6 other artists that were in cinematic arts there with me. And I also got to do the regional program in Los Angeles, where I got to create my own film as well. I had a great time. It was great to see that I can do narrative and I can work with dialogue, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. So a couple months ago, I made a film called Untouched Fruit. A friend had sent me an article about sort of post-slavery concentration camps that millions of black people were sort of trafficked into and killed. And I had never learned about this, which was really frustrating. It wasn't in any of my history books. I never learned it in any of my history classes. And so I wanted to reenact the events through movement, through dance. I got a couple of my dancer friends and we went to this canyon and shot it, and I kind of just captured their different dance movements, and there were a lot of questions regarding how accurate it was. And I understood that, but I knew that it is something that did happen, and that's why I try not to get too specific in the film, but I knew that this has happened. We have to recognize that after slavery, racism didn't end, and slaughter did not end, and many Black people died at the hands of just ignorance and racism and this inability to empathize and to see other human beings as human beings. Last year, my film Dear America was in the Harvard Westlake Film Festival called Westflix, and I won the Aaron Sorkin Writing Award. I got to meet Aaron Sorkin, and that was really crazy. And at one point, he like kneeled down to me. I was like, oh my, like, I don't even know what to say right now. Like, life is good. And he said they were so emotional that he couldn't say anything about it. He couldn't criticize it. One thing he did say was not to feel like I have to always be sort of like the representative of my race, if that makes sense, or not to feel like I'm letting down the Black community if I make a film that's not about the particular social issues that we face. There needs to be, I think that there needs to be a balance, because it's all about representation. And so I think it's important that they have representations of empowered people that look like them, who are doing their thing and overcoming obstacles and overcoming barriers.
That's the only way you can throw things away, is if you don't know the value of money, because why? You don't have a job.
My mom got really upset because I had like thrown away a thing of oil, because like back in the day, you know, you never wasted oil and stuff. And so I just had my mom sit down and talk to the camera. I really wanted to explore my comedic side.
And I'll tell you one thing, I really didn't like the fact that you did not return all those text messages I sent you. I know you got them because it said read at the bottom.
I got the idea to do double exposure just through messing around with Adobe Premiere. I always try to find some cool technique that I can do. So like with Bombing Cam, I had 2 frames. With this one, it was double exposure. With Dear America, I had like a distorted TV look to it. I just love to add experimental aspects to my films. I got involved with My Hero in 10th grade when my film teacher told me about them and said how they're all about social justice and environmental sustainability. I was their student honoree in 2016.
And we say, you don't know what I'm going through because you don't have the same background. We don't end up with empathy or community or love. What we get is a 14-year-old girl whose image of beauty is so distorted that she cannot see the beauty in herself.
I had a really amazing experience with them. I met so many beautiful people. One of my heroes is my film teacher who I had in 10th and 11th grade. She really understood the duty that I feel as a filmmaker, using it to inspire change. And she understood my style. And so I felt like Michelle really understood that and always inspired me to keep doing that. I recently started working with this social media platform called Obsessi, making a couple of videos for them, writing a couple posts. It's all about women and non-binary folks talking about the issues that we face in society and self-love and self-respect. Diego Rivera has this quote, "What is art if it's not political?" And that's very much how I feel. For me, art and identity are the same. I don't want people to feel the way that I did as a young girl, and I know so many people do. We all spend so much time trying to hide ourselves and suppress who we really are, and I just really want everyone to not be afraid to share yourself with the world. You're unique and you're beautiful, and we should all accept each other's beauty and see the beauty in ourselves. So that's what I hope to accomplish as a filmmaker.